Hi everyone, my name is Onita. Welcome to my channel. Today's video I am going to be telling you about the books I'm going to read in the month of January. First book, and one I'm nearly finished reading, I should be able to finish it tonight, is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. 1902, Brookhorn School for Girls. Students Flo and Clara are madly in love with each other, as well as completely obsessed with the story of Mary McLean, the scandalous debut memoir by 19-year-old McLean. A few months later they are found dead in the woods after a horrific wasp attack, the book lying next to their intertwined bodies. Within 5 years the school is closed, but not before 3 more people die on the property, each in a troubling way. Over 100 years later, Brookhorn opens its doors once more when a crew of young actresses arrive to film a high-profile movie about the rumoured Brookhorn's curse, and as past and present become grimly entangled, it's soon impossible to tell quite where the curse leaves off and Hollywood begins. What I can tell you about this book, without giving away spoilers, lesbian romance in this one. Definitely has some horror vibes, some gothic horror vibes, and I'm really enjoying it. The next book I'm going to be picking up straight after I finish reading Plain Bad Heroines is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, the author of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I have not read this book yet, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell that is. It is about 1,000 pages long. Long books don't really scare me. I don't have a problem reading longer books, it's just I haven't gotten around to it because I was reading other books at the time. So what this book is about: Piranesi lives in the house, perhaps he always has. In his notebooks, day after day, he makes a clear and careful record of its wonders. The labyrinth of halls, the thousands upon thousands of statues, the tides that thunder up staircases, the clouds that move in slow procession through the upper halls. On Tuesdays and Fridays, Piranesi sees his friend, the Other. At other times, he brings tributes of food and water lilies to the dead, but mostly he is alone. Messages begin to appear, scratched out in chalk and on the pavements. There is someone new in the house, but who are they and what do they want? Are they a friend, or do they bring destruction and madness as the Other claims? Lost texts must be found, secrets must be uncovered. The world that Piranesi thought he knew is becoming strange and dangerous. The beauty of the house is immeasurable, its kindness infinite. And just looking at the book, I think it's told in diary entry format by the looks of it. And just by the sound of it, just by me reading to you what the book is about, it sounds like it might be a bit of another horror kind of book. So that's the second one I'm going to be reading. It's pretty short, shouldn't take me too long to read. Third book I'm going to be reading in the month. This one I'm not going to be too upset if I don't get to it, because it is a maybe if I get to it. And that book is A Dance with Dragons, Book 5, Part 1, Dreams and Dust. I'm not going to say too much about it because it will give away spoilers for what the series is, but if you don't know, Game of Thrones is based upon this book. So what I can tell you, non-spoilery, is that basically people after a throne. Basically is political intrigue, incredible characters, great world building. I really love the world building. The mention of food in this series is so good. It makes me want to eat whenever I read anything food related in this book. I was hoping, last year I was doing a reread of this series because I wanted to do a reread of it. Never got around to it. I only read 3 books in December. It was not a good reading month for me. So I'm going to take my time with rereads. So if I don't get around to this, I'm not going to be too upset about it. The next book I'm going to be reading, which would be the 4th in the month if I get around to the previous book I mentioned, is Can't Even, How Millennials Became the Burnout Generation by Anne Helen Peterson. This is going to be my first non-fiction type of book. It's basically about burnout culture in millennials. I'll just read to you what it's about. An incendiary personal and cultural investigation of burnout. Are you tired, stressed, and trying your best but somehow still not doing enough? Has the bottom half of your to-do list been locked in place for months? Is everything becoming work as your job seeps into your evenings, you monetize your hobbies and perform your leisure time on social media? This is burnout. But increasingly like the defining feature of our lives. We are exhausted, but burnout is not a personal failing. It is a creeping part of modern culture shaped by deep-rooted political, historical, and economic forces, and that is affecting how we work, parent, socialize, and inhabit the world. Anne Helen Peterson identifies burnouts with moving clarity, what it feels like and how it manifests across communities. Through her own experiences, original interviews, and detailed analysis, she traces the institutional and generational causes of burnout, and in doing so, she helps us to let go of our guilt and imagine a possible future. Reassuring, insightful, and galvanizing, Can't Even is essential reading for all of us. Now, I'm going to say something. I'm really sorry if I'm not giving too much information about what the book is. I don't like going into a book knowing a whole lot, so I apologize about that. And I'm still new at this, so I don't really know how to summarize books without just reading from a phone or a screen or whatever, or even the back of a book. But I'll get there. This has been on my TBR for months. I didn't realize this book was even going to come out this year when I saved it to my never-ending TBR pile. So it's coming out this month. I'm excited to read it. Might give a bit of a understanding on millennials and how we burn ourselves out. It might even give pointers on how to not burn yourself out. I'm not entirely sure, but that's why I'm reading this book, so I can find out. The fifth book I'm going to be reading is Fable. This is a highly anticipated one for me. I'm quite excited about this one. So Fable by Adrian Young is a YA fantasy about a 17-year-old Fable who is a dredger, a freediver who excavates red gemstones from the coral reefs that fill the Narrows. For the last 4 years, she's been trying to get off the island of Javal, abandoned her there, and claim her mother's place on his trading crew. But when she finally makes it off the island, she discovers it may have been the safest place for her. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of action. I'm excited about that. Might get some world building, maybe a bit of romance. Nothing wrong with a bit of romance in books. Keeps it fresh and interesting. It's not a long book either. It's like around 300 and... Let me have a look on another place. Okay, so actually, yeah, it's like around 350-ish pages. It actually came out last year in America, but over here in Australia, we're not getting it until the 26th of January this month. I've heard it's got good world building. I don't know, actually I shouldn't even say that because I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about this. I've heard it's good. It must be, whether I just wasn't paying attention, and it seems to be everyone's anticipated book, and like I said, I don't like to know too much about it, so I'm just going to leave it at that and try not to. So I'm just trying not to get a little bit too, what's the word I'm thinking of? Oh my god, what's the word I'm thinking of? Oh yeah, like false hopes, like expectations. I don't want to give myself too high of an expectation, so I'm just gonna leave it at. The last book I'm going to be reading is The Wrong Family by Tarryn Fisher. This is Tarryn Fisher's second crime book, or psychological thriller I should say. And I was not a fan of her first dive into psychological thriller, The Wives. It was so good up until halfway point, and then it just downhill after that, and did not enjoy the ending. But the thing I can say is her writing is good, because as like you get towards the end of the book, especially after the halfway point, like I was saying, it kept feeling like it was gonna go the way I expected it to go, but then it didn't, and it just kept getting bad from there. So this book is about, this is her second one. I'm still going to give her a go because I really do enjoy her writing. It says here, have you ever been wrong about someone? Juno was wrong about Winnie Crouch. Before moving in with the Crouch family, Juno thought Willie and Winnie, oh my gosh, not Willie, that does not sound good. Before moving in with the Crouch family, Juno thought Winnie and her husband Nigel had the perfect marriage, the perfect son, the perfect life. Only now that she's living in the beautiful house, she sees the cracks in the crumbling facade are too deep to ignore. Still, she isn't one to judge. After her grim diagnosis, the retired therapist simply wants to live out the rest of her days in peace. But that peace is shattered the day Juno overhears a chilling conversation between Winnie and Nigel. She shouldn't get involved, she really shouldn't. But this could be her chance to make a few things right. Because if you thought Juno doesn't have a secret of her own, then you were wrong about her too. Now, I was looking at a review. I know I say I don't want to know too much about it, but I have to try and tell you something other than read off a screen or the back of a book what the book is going to be about. I've heard this one has the unreliable narrator trope, where I really enjoy if it's done well. If it's done well, I really enjoy it. Like, for example, my favorite unreliable narrator book would have to be The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I'm really scared to read any more of her books because, like with Gone Girl, I really enjoyed Gone Girl. It was such a good book. But then, because I have all of Gillian Flynn's books, and I was so scared to read her other books because Gone Girl is so good. And I ended up reading, Sharp Objects last year. Loved it. It was so good. I have to read more of Paula Hawkins' books. I think I'm actually going to be reading, it's actually not in that notebook, but I definitely will be reading her. I think she has a new one coming out. But I don't know if I'm getting confused with C.J. Tudor, I think the author of The Chalkman. I think I'm getting confused with her, but I think they both have books coming out this year that are quite interesting for me, at least. Back to the book, The Wrong Family. I've heard it's psychological thriller. Apparently there's some sort of character development. I wonder why Juno is living in the house. There has to be something along with that that's really intrigued me. Like, why is she in the house? Whether it's to do retired therapist, there has to be something going on there that I'm quite curious to read about. Okay, this is it. These are the books I'm going to be reading, but don't forget about, oh my gosh, I can't think. What were the other ones? Oh yes, so there's these books, and then there's Can't Even, Fable, and The Wrong Family. And I'm not going to be too upset if I don't get to this one. I should be able to get to this one. I don't see why, but you know, we'll see. So that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you want to, you can subscribe, leave a comment, and like the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.